What's up guys, my name's Luke and welcome back to Motion Design. So in this week's tutorial, I'm going to show you guys some simple ways that we can use cloth to, show off products. These aren't going to be very advanced techniques or anything too crazy. I actually wanted to do something just simple and kind of like beginner friendly, because I know that, I sometimes get comments about more beginner friendly stuff. I will plan to do some more advanced stuff later on, maybe next month or something like that. But yeah, for this month, I thought I'd do something quite basic and show you guys how to use like cloth in a way that we can use it for commercials, more like a product to showcase type of way. These aren't going to be advanced techniques, just more fun ways to use cloth. So yeah, definitely more beginner friendly tutorial, but I hope you enjoyed it and hopefully you can still learn something new from it. Cool, so the plan is to do 3 scenes, all quite simple, or pretty straightforward, but it's more about showing different techniques and different ways that you can just use cloth to show off your product. Cool, so let's get into it. So we have this product over here. It's just a boring default product. To be honest, there's literally nothing to it. The only thing that I've done over here is that I have a cylinder, which is just going to be our collider body, because usually when we're doing simulations, it's usually good to have a proxy geometry so that you don't have to, do the simulations on complex geometry. In this case, this wouldn't be complex geometry, but I think it's just a good mindset to get into, is to usually use proxy geometry. Cool, so this is going to be our proxy geometry. As you can see, it's pretty low res, and what we're going to do is we're going to put that inside of our null here, and then just hide it, and let's add a simulation tags and a collider. Cool. Actually, hold on, let me copy this into a new project. Cool, so now we got this. Let's go and set up our scene. So as per usual, let's go over here and let's turn our gravity all the way down. Another thing that I want to do is I want to reduce the number of substeps. This is just because I found like I got a better look by using 15, and also it's not too complicated, so we don't really need too many substeps. Cool, so let's go and let's grab our plane, and this is going to act as our cloth. Let's set this to about 200 by 200. Let's see. Let's go simulations and cloth. Cool. So the idea for this one is that we want the cloth to rotate around the product over here. So, the default would just be to go simulations, and where are we looking for? Rotator over here. Now we just want to rotate this so that the Z angle is pointing up. And now when we press play, we should get some rotation on our cloth. Cool. That's cool, but it's not doing what we want. Let's go, let's increase this to about 1 to 50. And let's see what happens now. Now we get a bunch more rotation, but you'll see that the entire plane is just rotating, which isn't really what we want. Let's go and add a spherical field over here. And now what will happen is that it will only spin within the field over here. Cool, now you can kind of see we're getting a little bit closer to the result that we want. Let's go and animate this. So we want our product to kind of move downwards as this rotates. So let's set a keyframe over here. Let's go about frame 90. And then let's bring this down. Something like that I think should be good. And let's see what this looks like. Cool. So it's going to go down and rotate. And yeah, I guess that's kind of cool, but I kind of wanted it to stick quite close to the fabric over here. And I noticed that when it initially touches it, it more just like moves it down. So we wanted it to just stick a little bit. So we can go into our collider over here and just turn the stick on by a little bit. And in here, let's also turn up our stickiness. Let's maybe set this to 0.1. Let's also change our bendiness over here, something quite big. Let's set the stretchiness to like 100. Let's see what this is looking like. Cool, so it's getting a little bit closer. It's now stuck to the object over here and is rotating, but I wanted to kind of bunch up a little bit sooner. So let's go simulations, forces, and attractor. And let me just show you quick. If we had to just press play right now, we're going to get some really, well, that's cool. To be honest, you should probably do that instead. That's way cooler than what I was going to do. Yeah, that's sick. I fuck with that. Cool. So in general, when you have an attractor over there, and then like press play. Usually it causes results like that because of the fact that it is pulling all towards this one point, so everything kind of comes together and it kind of causes clashing. So it's usually good to either put it in a field and then reverse the field so that there's just like a bit in the middle where there is no attraction, or you can do is just put it in an object over here. And I think what's happening over here is that if we go back, actually I'm not too sure why it's not colliding and why it's giving us this really cool result. Do you want to go with this? But in general, what I did was that I put my attractor inside of my object over here, put it as a child, and now when we press play, it'll come together. Oh, let's turn this up a little bit. Let's maybe make this 100. Yeah, it's more what I wanted. Cool. So now as it goes in, kind of sucks up and rotates downwards. Cool. And that looks pretty cool. We could put just a little bit of friction over here. Let me set this like 15. Nice. Now we get this really nice rotation. The only other thing that I'd probably add to this is maybe just a little bit of rotation on the bottle to kind of drag this along. Let's just do a basic lighting setup for this, and then we'll move on to the next effect. Cool. So let's set up over here. Let's find a camera angle. I'm going to go with a 18mm lens. Bring this like something like that. I think that'll work for what we're trying to do. So let's go to frame 90. Set a keyframe there. And set a keyframe here. And then just make these linear so the camera goes down as the animation happens. Cool. I'd probably just make the bottle animation over here also linear. Cool. So at the moment this is very jagged. You can go and you can add more subdivisions. You get a little bit more detail in this just by bumping up the number of subdivisions on this plane over here. But I think for the purpose of this tutorial, this works for me. Also, I want this to be further down like that. So instead of adding a subdivision surface, which will do the job for us, this just adds extra computing power. We don't really want to do that. Instead, let's just go over here, add a redshift tag, and then let's just turn on tessellation. And now you'll see it's the exact same result of the subdivision, but it doesn't affect the viewport over here, and it actually speeds up the renders a bit. Cool. So let's go and let's add a dome light. With this dome light, I just want to add a H2RI. So I'm just going to go to my H2RI folders, and I'm just going to add a normal studio H2RI. Let's just rotate this till we get something that we like. I like the reflections over there. Let's just bring this down by a bit. Then let's add a top light. Because this is product, let's just go to perspective over here. This is a product over here, and it's like beauty products. We want it to be kind of flat lighting, but not too flat, just more flat beauty type lighting. Cool, so I think something like that should work. And then let's just add one more light over here, which is going to be our hero light. Let's make this quite thin. Let's bring down our spread over here. Let's bring this up. Maybe rotate it down. And let's bring back our intensity. Cool. I mean, I think that was a car alarm going off in the background over there. And let's just find a... Yeah, I think that works. Let's maybe just bring down the spread even more. And then also just our intensity. Cool. And nice. Now we got a basic little cloth render up here. Obviously spend more time on the simulations and on the lighting. But yeah, again, this is a beginner tutorial, so more just showing you guys different effects. Cool. This was the first effect. Now let's move on to our next effect. Cool. So for this one over here, I'm going to use the same product. And what we want is this kind of like products kind of like sitting in cloth, floating in air. At least that's the look that we're going for. So we have the same setup over here. Just now, we also have this collider, And that's the basics of this. Cool, so let's grab a plane over here. Let's make this 100 by 400. Let's make this 200 over here, and then 40. Actually, let's go more, 80 and 400. So like that, so we have something quite dense. Cool, NA to get out of there. Now let's go simulations. Let's turn off gravity over here. You can see already, turn off gravity. Yeah, turn off gravity. And cool, now we got basic setup up here. Let's go simulations, cloth. And let's set this to like 500 and this to about 100. And let's set our thickness to about 0.5. So if we had to press play now, nothing is happening except our bottle is colliding with this. So let's just move this over here and turn this off. But it is acting like cloth. So now let's go forces, turbulence. Let's turn this up to something about like 27. Let's see what type of movement we're getting. I think that works, maybe 9. Yeah, I think this is better for what I'm trying to do. Cool, I just want something where there's like a little bit of movement over here. And what we're going to do is we're going to art direct the way that we want our cloth to look over here. So this shot that I had in mind, there's not much movement in the scene. It's more the cloth already placed and then the object is kind of like slowly moving into it. So how I'm going to get the cloth to look how I want is I'm going to put a collider tag onto this object over here. And I'm just going to move it in the way that I like it. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely other ways of doing this. I just found that this is the quickest and easiest for what I'm trying to do. Cool, move that up, move that down. Nice, something like that. That's exactly what I want, because then now our product's going to go over here and move downwards. So obviously when you guys are doing this, spend a little bit more time and actually get the shape that you want. I just don't want to spend too much time doing that, but you can kind of see what I was doing. Cool, so I think this is fine for now. Let's go into our cloth over here, go to our dresser and say set initial state. So now we can press play again. This is where we're going to start. And now we can start working with this. Cool, so this is cool. I want to just bring down my time scale over here, maybe to about 0.5, just to still keep that same movement, but just had it a little bit more subtle. I mean, you can do that with the turbulence, but seeing as though we're not doing many other simulations in this, the time scale works well for me. Let's go and add another turbulence. Let's set this to, what is this? That was 9, so let's set this to about 30. See what type of movement we're getting over here. Yeah, I think those two work nicely together. Cool, now let's add our bottle. And let's just go and place it. So we want to frame it up a little bit just before. Let's move this down. Yeah, something like that should be fine. Let's go and set a keyframe over here and on our rotations, and then let's go to about 90 seconds. Let's bring our object down. Let's add a bit of rotation. Yeah, something like that should be fine. See what that looks like. This back to 90. Cool. And then now we have our product kind of getting caught by our cloth over here. Let's just go do something basic. This isn't that amazing, I'm not gonna lie. I think I'd spend a little bit more time refining the way that this actually falls into place, so that we have a nice kind of like cushioning motion to it. But I think that's all just in the animation itself and how you guys tweak that. So I don't really want to mess around with that too much. And I'll just maybe do that, see if that solves the problem. Yeah, this looks pretty cool. I'll probably start a little bit late, like over here, and then increase the length of the animation. Cool. So now it's just getting kind of caught. Let's go. I'm gonna keep the same kind of like 80 mil focal length, over there. The only thing that I would do if I was redoing this would be to kind of have this flow a little bit more like a S shape. So like if I could have it like this and then like this. So just having this curve down a little bit more and having this curve up a little bit more, just to give it more of that kind of like flowing and then flat in the middle shape, just so that we kind of really highlight our product over here. Cool. Let's keep that for now. Let's go and let's open up our render view. Let's add a dome light. Let's just go and add a background over here. So let's do something simple, just like a normal gradient in the background. So let's see, for the shader, let's just turn up our resolution by a bit and add in a gradient. Yeah, I think something like that works, just that kind of like subtle gradients. I'm gonna make this actually 110, just so that we have, let's go and add some depth of field. That's one thing I should have added. The previous one is just some depth of field, but that's an easy thing to add. Set this to like maybe 1. Cool, yeah, I think that works. Let's go and add some lights over here. I don't think we need too many lights, probably only like 1 or 2. Let's see. Let's set our light to be a lot smaller, so it's like the right size for the scene. Let's go maybe like this. Sometimes it helps if you go camera perspective and then use selected object, and now you can move around your viewports as your light. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah, I know some people love doing it this way. I sometimes like it. I don't know, it has its use cases. Let's go one up here, then let's duplicate this, and let's do one light that's kind of coming from the back. Yeah, I think that works. Nothing too crazy, just a simple lighting setup. You know, have your branding over there. I think for this, the black doesn't work. It's a little bit too dark, and I don't think that would work very well for a beauty product. So let's go and let's select this pink. Let's see, does that? Yeah, I think that works a little bit better. I think actually I would make it even more contrasty. Yeah, I think something like that works for now. Nothing too crazy, just something simple and minimalistic, but with some more love put into the scene. It can work quite well. Let's also just get rid of these jagged edges over here by going and adding a rigid object tag and turning on tessellation, just so we get some more smoother details. So with a sim like this does look nice, but I think if I was doing this for an actual commercial, I'd probably put in a little bit more detail into this cloth over here. So at the moment there are some big like movements over here. I'd add a extra turbulence just on a more smaller scale, just so we can get more smaller details in here. Also, one thing, if you're using that way of using your light as the camera, don't move around your camera, I mean your light, or else it's going to move around. So let's go and change this back to default camera, and now we can move around without affecting the light. But yeah, there we go. There's our next setup. Very simple, very basic. Let's just move on to our last setup. So this one's also going to be very basic. Let's go and add a plane over here. Set this to about 90 degrees. This one's going to be the most basic out of all of them, to be honest. But it works, to be honest, for the type of shots that you're going for. Sometimes you just want basic, minimalistic types of looks, and that's okay. Cool. Let's go to our cloth. Let's first turn off gravity, as per usual. Then we can keep all this the same. Let's maybe just turn up our damping by a bit. Let's go simulations, cloth. And for this cloth over here, we're going to want a lot of detail. So for now, I'm going to leave it at 200 by 200, but we'll probably bump this up later on. Cool. So now it just floats, nothing happens. Now all we're going to do with this is just add some turbulence. Let's say some turbulence on quite a small scale. Maybe 2. Or I think that works. Let's go and add another one. Set this to about like 40. Oh, so now we got micro and macro turbulences going on. So this is where the detail comes in, because if we change this to 400 by 400, let's hope it doesn't crash. You'll see that we're getting a lot more detail. So this is really super basic. It's literally just how much subdivisions you're putting in, and that will get us these very nice details. And all we're going to do with this one is we're going to have a basic keyframe over here. And at frame 90, we want our product to move all the way in. And let's see the keyframe. And now if we go set this to linear, our cloth is going to move and our product is going to go into it. And we're going to get these really nice creases. Cool. Set this to 90. Like I said, super basic, super simple. But, you know, sometimes that's all you need. I mean, it's really cool sometimes to do like really cool and creative ideas. But sometimes, I don't know, I've noticed that sometimes clients don't want the cool creative ideas. They want the simple things that work well. And so I guess that's what we're doing here today. These aren't always the most fun things to do, but, you know, they work. And sometimes, you know, it's what the client wants. And I've noticed that a lot of the time, this is sometimes the type of stuff that the client wants. Something super basic, but it gets the point of the cross of this is a luxury beauty product. And so then there are some simple ways of how we can show it. Cool. Let's go and light this. So I'm gonna actually just take the same lighting setup that I had for this one over here. Let's just grab these 3 lights. Let's add a light over here. Let's just re-simulate this. Cool. We have our dome light over here, which is just bringing in some kind of like a full light. To be honest, you can also get away with just using a default dome light and then just, you know, turning down the intensity by a bit. I think that works. We have a top light over here, and then now I want let's go camera, perspective, use selected objects, and let's just rotate this. Yeah, I think that works. Just that nice streak across. Let's go camera, default camera, and now we can go back here. And yeah, we got a pretty looking beauty shot over here. I think if I was doing this properly, I would make sure that the turbulence is a little bit more, a little bit bigger. Let's just do it now. Let's see what it looks like. Just because these details are nice, but it kind of just looks like we've fallen on like a bedspread. Actually, to be honest, that might be what the client wants. But I think seeing as though we're not really working with the client right now, we're just doing what looks nice. I want those folds to be a little bit more evident, if that makes sense. Let's see what this is looking like. Yeah, so now we're getting a bit bigger these pools, which means that we're getting these really nice shadows over here, which help with like the contrast of this image. So again, really simple, but you know, we're able to get this very nice result over here. To be honest, we have so many subdivisions that we don't even need to add tessellation to it. But I'm going to add tessellation to it, to be honest. Let's just go add a render tag and add some tessellation. Yeah, I mean, so with this effect, you can get a little bit more detail just by increasing the number of widths and height segments over here, and then also just by messing around with the turbulence and getting the desired look that you want. Yeah, if you're having any collisions, just turn up the collision passes. But yeah, I really hope you guys learned something. Sorry it's not the most advanced tutorial, but at least it was a simple and fun one, and I hope that this helped a few beginners out there. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.